Present day classmates, Sir Filiaros. Today, Ashley and I will going to discuss about how can we formulate an evaluative statement. So, ano nga ba yung evaluative statement? Let's hear from Ashley.
Good morning, good afternoon, good night, everyone. I am Ashley Louisse clarito, and I'm together with Nicole, Prudente, and today we will be going to discuss evaluative statements. So, what is evaluative statement?
What is an evaluative statement? It is a statement that states one's sound judgment about something through writing which is supported by reasons and evidences. It also presents the strengths and weaknesses of something based on a set of criteria which needs to be factual, substantial, and unbiased. So what is factual? It is relating to or consisting of facts. It is based on restricted to facts rather than opinions or interpretation. Substantial is considerable importance, size, or worth, having substance, solid, or having real or significant value or significance. The word unbiased means showing no prejudice for or against something, impartial, not influenced by personal feelings, opinions, or preference. How to formulate an evaluative statement? To formulate an evaluative statement, one needs to read the entire text carefully and critically to understand and to check for possible fallacies in the argument presented by the writer. Just like any other writing, the formulation of the evaluative statement is done in the same way except that the statement is about your own judgment of the text, contents, and properties. You may formulate your evaluative statements in two ways, such as formulating assertions and counterclaims. You will be formulating meaningful counterclaims at the second part of this lesson. The question now is, how are you going to form evaluative statements? Just remember the following pointers. First, begin with the positives before you point out the negatives. Remember that your evaluative statement should be factual, substantial, and unbiased. When giving your negative feedback, it should not sound insulting on the part of the evaluatee, the one who is being evaluated. Second, suggest a solutions or suggestions on how to improve the written material being evaluated and provide a justification how this will work. Then, keep your feedback concise and precise. Lastly, be careful in giving your feedback. Since evaluations pass judgment onto works of authors, they must be written and expressed with care and much diligence. Here's an example. A student was tasked to compose a poem that would express his thoughts and feelings about various events around him. After a while, he submitted it to his teacher before the set deadline. As the teacher evaluated his output, she was impressed about the way the student wrote his concrete poem using the shape of a dove as the poem's structure to help the readers to easily understand the meaning of his writing. Surprisingly, he chose a theme about the 2019 coronavirus disease that gives hope to the readers who may be affected by the pandemic. In addition to this, a good physical and grammatical arrangement of words were evidently shown. Figurative languages and imagery were also used. However, the teacher found out that the poem was written in forced rhyme that may have caused him to use inappropriate words. Since the teacher wanted to improve the writing skill of the student, she then suggested to consider the use of appropriate language over rhyme to better connect with the audience. You, referring to the writer, composed an impressive poem. It has a good physical and grammatical arrangement of words that enhance the reader's overall experience. Another good thing is that your chosen theme is very timely, that gives hope to the readers in this time of pandemic. When it comes to the elements of poetry, you used figurative languages and imagery that added spice to the overall quality of your composition. These literary devices stir up and startle the reader's imagination. Furthermore, the choice of writing concrete poetry, a poetry of which visual appearance matches the topic of the poem, with a dove as the shape of the poem structure, contributes a lot in understanding the meaning of the poem. The evaluation begins with an evaluative statement that says, "You," referring to the writer, composed an impressive poem. It is followed by giving a positive feedback to the writer, specifying the strengths of the poem. However, the rhyme of your writing is forced. It seems that the words were chosen for the sake of having a rhyming effect that somehow affects the emotional connection between the reader and the poem itself. In the second paragraph, the evaluator mentioned the weaknesses she saw in the writing. To improve your work, you should be careful in choosing the appropriate words to be used to best express the meaning and emotions you would like the readers to read and feel. It should be considered over the rhyme of the poem. Remember, a poem may or may not have a rhyme, but if you choose to have one, the meaning and the emotional appeal of the poem should not be compromised. In this way, you can have a good connection with the readers and would therefore make them appreciate your poem more. Finally, a suggestion was given to the writer at the third paragraph for the improvement of the poem.
Since Ashley already tackled the evaluative statement, let's now proceed to assertion and its types. A good critical reader does not only understand the meaning of a reading material, but also logically evaluates whether the claims of the writer are true or false. Assertions serve as a primary way for the readers to consider and possibly agree with the claims presented by the writer in an expository writing. So, as a good reader, hindi lang dapat natin binabasa yung text na nakasulat dun sa book. Dapat, naalam din natin yung meaning, yung ibig sabihin o ipinapahiwatig nito. Dapat din nating bigyang linaw kung yung claims ba na binigay ng writer ay totoo o hindi. So, ano nga ba yung assertion? An assertion is a declarative statement expressing beliefs or claim as if it were true, without necessarily providing evidence or proof. It's a way of stating something confidently. It's a straightforward way of expressing one's perspective or position on a topic. Also, assertions often use evaluative language like useful or important. For example, when asked, "Should education continue despite our situation?" You'd give your opinion, then make an assertion, backing it up with reasons. Pag sinabing assertion, ito yung diretsahang pagbibigay ng opinyon, perspektibo, o paniniwala mo. Isang halimbawa na lamang dito kapag tinanong tayo ng teacher natin na kung ang edukasyon ba ay dapat ipagpatuloy sa panahon na kinaharap natin ngayon. Siyempre, sasagot tayo ng ating ideas o opinion. At magbibigay tayo ng assertion at papaliwanag natin kung bakit natin pinaniniwalaan yon o bakit tayo naniniwala doon. We have four types of assertion, which is fact, convention, opinion, and preference. But first, let's begin with the word fact. Fact are statements that can be objectively proven through their experience, witness, testimonies, verified observation, or research. For example, experts confirm that seawater contains high amounts of minerals such as sodium, chloride, sulfate, magnesium, and calcium. The validity of factual statements relies on empirical evidence and can be verified through experiments and research. Sinabing fact, ito ay isang diretsong karanasan o nagbibigay ng mga patotoo, obserbasyon o mga pananaliksik. Bumabase din ito sa isang empirical na mga ebidensya. Conventions refer to socially accepted ways of doing things, often based on traditions, norms, laws, or historical precedents. While they may sound factual, due to their widespread acceptance, conventions cannot be objectively verified by measurements. An example of a convention is the classification of seawater as a heterogeneous and homogeneous mixture. This classification is based on a system established by scientists and accepted with the scientific community. Pag sinabing convention, ito ay patungkol sa tinatanggap na paggawa ng isang bagay. Kadalasang batay ito sa tradisyon o batas. Opinions are statements that are based on facts but are difficult to objectively verify due to uncertainties in producing satisfactory proofs of soundness. For instance, the statement swimming in seawater is the best activity to refresh and relax your mind, body, and soul. It is an opinion because its truthfulness is subjective and may vary from person to person. Ang opinion naman ay madali lamang tandaan. Ito ay patungkol sa iyong mga ideya o sariling karanasan. Lastly, preference. Preference express personal choices that are subjective and cannot be objectively proven or logically attacked. They reflect individual inclinations or desires, and writers are under no obligation to support or prove the truthfulness of their preference statements. For example, I love to make frequent trips to places with seawater rather than those without it. Expresses a personal choice without needing factual validation. Ang preference naman ay batay sa sarili mong pagpili na hindi kailangang suportahan ng katotohanan. Remember, facts are solid evidence, convention are common practices, opinions are personal beliefs, and preferences are personal choices. Understanding this helps us communicate better.